Welcome to a bonus spooky season episode of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. I am Tim, and with me is my co-host Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
Spooky season part 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah, but this time,
Jason,
it was Jason. Yes, because it was his birthday. So we decided that we had to pull out a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, Jason didn't get fun subtitles until later on, so definitely not for part 2. It was just part 2. So
yeah, that is true. And we it took us a little bit there to decide. We kind of wavered. We almost went part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And but then you weren't sure because you had, I think you were looking for, what was it, 5 you were thinking about? Not 5. We did 5 recently.
Yeah, 6 is what I was thinking.
It was 6. Yeah, you were looking at 6. Yeah. But then I was like, I think I only saw the remake. What was it, 2009 that came out? I was like,
yeah,
something like that. I was like, I think I've only seen that once, like when it came out, and that was it. And you were like, oh, well, let's do that then. So we revisited the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th, the last one.
Yeah.
Most recent one.
God damn it. It's been too long, Tim.
Yeah. This is the longest stretch, right? This ever had?
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
By far.
I mean, it's pretty bad. If you're not aware, everybody, it's been held up in some legal drama and rights issues. And so it's an ongoing battle and issue.
Yeah, the writer of the original Friday the 13th owns the rights to the title Friday the 13th. He owns the idea of Camp Crystal Lake, and he owns Mrs. Voorhees.
Right.
He owns the film rights to it. And Sean Cunningham owns the rights to like an adult Jason. Victor Miller only writes young Jason or whatever. And the hockey mask belongs to Sean S. Cunningham, and
a lot of the iconic stuff.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like, the first movie is, for the most part, just a Halloween riff, a cash-in. But it succeeded because of the effects of Tom Savini and the good casting. Like a nice find on Kevin Bacon. And then this franchise really grew into something completely different and, in my opinion, superior to the Halloween franchise in every way.
Oh, by far, I would agree with that. Yeah, we've talked about it before, but yeah, I just had to rewatch all those Halloween movies like a year or so ago. Watched some of them for the first time, and I was taken back by how bad that franchise is.
Yeah, had some rough years.
Yeah, maybe I'm biased. I kind of grew up more with a lot of the Friday the 13th movies, but yeah, hands down, so much better, so much more entertaining.
Well, the first and foremost Jason movies always have an attention to the gore and like what the inventive kills, And
yeah.
Michael Myers is like, I'm going to stab you and move on, stab you and move on.
Yep.
And it's boring.
It's dull.
So that's why I always, I loved the gore effects by Savini and the others that came after him in these movies, and it's fun.
Yeah, they're definitely more interesting, for sure. So, So the 2009 remake tries to make Jason, I guess, more realistic, I guess. They kind of go with the realism route, I guess, that a lot of movies of its time were doing. Even Batman tried to go more of a realistic route and all that kind of stuff, right?
That's a good point.
It seemed to be the thing to do in that time period. And I don't know, maybe some people don't like that idea, like they like the supernatural-ish kind of elements to things, but and I feel like this movie got like kind of thrashed too when it came out, right? It didn't do well.
It did. No, it made money.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. No, it made money, and it definitely could have had a sequel. See, Shannon and Swift, Damian Shannon and Mark Swift, the guys who wrote this, and they also wrote Freddy vs. Jason, and so they're clearly big Jason fans.
Yeah.
So what they did is they basically remade the first 4 movies and they condensed it into one movie, and they added it in the twist of Jason is sort of like more of a survivalist in this.
So who likes weed?
Who protects his weed? Stay off his land. It's my weed. And he's instead of just teleporting around, he has tunnels all underneath it so he can get from place to place quick and sneak up behind people.
Yeah, tunnels, and there are like tripwires everywhere too with bells. You kind of find out too, so he's alerted. So no more reasons why he can, like, how did he find this person randomly in the woods, and where was like it kind of explains it all.
Yeah,
and I liked it, to be honest.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really liked to. I mean, there's something that was always fun about the menacing Jason that's just gonna walk. And it never changes its pace, and there's something scary about it, for sure. And I've always loved that. But then it's a really awesome change of pace to all of a sudden see this ferocity, and this big Jason now is running at you and coming for you and really coming at you, and you're like, whoa, okay, this is a change. This is also scary.
Well, this was the era of fast zombies, so we needed a fast Jason.
Right. So I get maybe some fanboys not liking it. It's not exactly their Jason, but I thought it was a kind of a fun change. I liked it.
I think the biggest gripe was one, the kills weren't as inventive as we were used to.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And two, that, like I said, just basically condensing the first 4 movies. Like, we've actually seen basically all of this plot point for plot point. I'm like, okay, well, here's an aspect from part 2. Here's an aspect from part 4. Oh, there it is, part 3 where he gets the mask, and it's like, all right,
yeah, even some of the kills sometimes are reminiscent of things you've seen in some of those movies too, like have been done before. But it still manages to have a lot of fun.
Well, 14 years later, I have a greater appreciation for all of it. And it's like,
yeah, I really enjoyed this rewatch the second time around. It was also interesting to see this, more of a modern Friday the 13th still have a lot of the sex and drugs and alcohol from the earlier movies. Like, that's something like I feel like a lot of horror movies shy away from.
Yeah, man.
And this one fully embraced all of that.
Yeah, this was during that great Michael Bay Platinum Dunes run where he was just remaking horror movies, and then they tripped and fell on their face at that Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Oof.
Which I have still never rewatched since the theaters.
I don't think so either. I think I remember watching that movie and in the theater and being like, this is terrible.
Yeah. Like,
it's weird. There's only a few movies where I feel like I can really remember myself in the theater being like, I hate this. This is making me mad.
Man of Steel.
And that was one of them. Yeah, you're a Man of Steel hater for sure. But yeah, that movie just pissed me off. Quite the opposite reaction of going in to watch the Evil Dead remake and being like, "Oh my god, I didn't see this coming. This is excellent."
Yeah. That's the gold standard for remakes.
Yeah.
It's funny. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre the remake has gone down in my opinion. I still enjoy it, but
it gets a lot of props. It gets a lot of praise.
It's good. I
only saw it once.
Oh, it's
another one. I've only seen
watching, but it has gone down in my estimation a little bit. I still prefer the prequel, Texas Chainsaw, the beginning. But anyway, then this one has gone up in my estimation, and Nightmare on Elm Street remake will always be the fucking worst.
The worst. It is the worst. And I love Jackie Earle Haley, but there's just the movie's just
Rudy
not
Mara. Good. I mean, it's not a matter of talent in front of the camera.
That's for sure.
The problems were behind the camera.
Yeah, for sure. It's not good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in the end, enjoyable rewatch. I thought solid pick, and I recommend. It's fun.
Yeah.
So the next movie was my pick.
Sure was.
And so I was excited to, like, as usual I struggle and I'm like, oh no, what do I watch? And then I came across a list, of course, as I usually kind of do, and then I came across Dark Harvest, and it was really because I saw who's responsible for Dark Harvest, and it's David Slade, and that immediately was like, oh, I haven't seen him like kind of do anything in a little bit. And then I found out this kind of movie's been, kind of been in, like, I don't know what it was. It's just, it hasn't come out in a while.
It was a COVID delayed. It was like 2 years sitting on the shelf. Yeah. But like David Slade has not directed a movie since that Twilight movie that he did.
Oh man. Yeah. And I never even saw that one.
Oh, well.
I think I remember seeing some like trailer clips and being like, some people being like, this guy's got too much talent to be doing this Twilight movie, because they're like, people were showing some of these shots that he was getting in the Twilight movie. It's like, what is going on here? Mm-hmm. But I like the 30 Days of Night movie he did. I really like Hard Candy quite a lot. So that movie was so much fun. So I was like, all right, this is definitely my pick. And man, I'm cheap, as you know. And even though you totally ended up renting it anyway, which was cool, but I was like, yeah, this is my pick. And I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, you should also, special shout out to his run on Hannibal. He did a bunch of episodes for Hannibal and created the whole style for the show.
Which is what it's known for, too, that style, that show. That show is so much fun, too.
Yeah.
And dark and messed up.
Love Hannibal. I can't believe that show was on basic cable. It's incredible.
I know. It's amazing what they got away with.
Yeah, no, Dark Harvest is fun. I mean, David Slade still got it. It's still
got it. Creature effects are great in it.
Yeah, it's like a souped up pumpkin head. He's looking, not souped up, I wouldn't say. He's more streamlined pumpkin head. It's very cool and creepy looking.
It's very cool and creepy looking. I love that it's like stuffed like a piñata and stuff like that too. What did you described it as, like, what is it, Hunger Games meets horror movie or something like that? Is that how you described it? I forget.
I guess. I don't remember.
It was something along those lines, but I remember it being very well described that way. But it's fun. It definitely, you do figure it out, but it's not like it's done well, and it's not something like
nailed that one again, didn't I?
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me that I figured out what was going on. And I don't think like the twist is that important to the movie.
No,
so
it's not.
The creature effects, once I saw him, killing kids left and right, and I was like,
yeah,
hell yeah, all right, we're dealing with a real movie here. I wasn't sure because like the cast is all filled with like a bunch of like YA actors that I thought like, all right, is all these just Riverdale rejects? Like, who are these people? I don't know what's going on. Because
I only really knew some of the adults. I didn't know any of the kids who are clearly the main characters.
Yeah. And it's a problem for the movie. I don't think any of the kids are very super charismatic. But they're
think they detract
drawbacks
though.
Either. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which I thought was kind of cool too, because it definitely, you weren't quite sure who was gonna live or die there, because you had no real.
It's a mean movie.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I loved it without that. I loved it.
And it kind of sets it up for sequels too, which I'm like, all right.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it like just kind of how the movie ends. You could foresee this like kind of continuing on.
I don't know if they ever made a sequel. I know I won't enjoy it as much because David Slade won't be directing it. It's like I'd say like half of my enjoyment was just like checking out the shots that David Slade was pulling off in this movie. Like, oh,
gorgeous
look at that.
Movie.
That is pretty to look at.
It is very pretty to look at. But I do think like again, what's his name? The guy who played the dad,
Jeremy Davies.
Yeah, is a lot of fun, and it's very more toned down for him, but I liked it. What's his name that was in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
I don't know. I don't know that show.
Gosh, I wish I was better with names. Anyway, he's really good in Mrs. Maisel, and he plays the sheriff in this movie, and that was a really fun character too. So highly recommend. It was fun.
Yeah, like Dark Harvest. It's worth the $6 rental.
Yeah, I think you said it was coming up to stream soon too, though, wasn't it?
No, that was Cobweb.
Okay. All right. Well, so the last movie that we watched was The Blackening.
The Blackening.
That was your pick.
Yeah. Bunch of old college friends get together in a cabin, and to celebrate Juneteenth. Yeah. And to their surprise, there is a board game in the game room called The Blackening, and it's forcing them to play their games, or one of their friends is going to die.
Yeah.
And it is hilarious.
And it's like, mostly like trivia questions
at first
about black culture mostly, right? Yeah. And of course it has so much fun with all the tropes
Like, how many seasons was the original Aunt Viv on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Right.
Or how many black characters were there on the entire run of Friends? Like,
Oh, yeah, that was really funny. And how they're like, all of them were like, no, I don't watch Friends. Well, there was this one, and then they all kind of secretly admit that they all watched Friends.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it was really funny. And that's another one where I thought was insanely well casted.
Oh, they're all great. Everyone in that movie is fantastic.
Yeah,
so
everybody has their moment to kind of like shine and be a hell of a lot of fun. What's his name too? That ends up being the sheriff.
The ranger.
Yeah, the dude from Drew Carey, and he plays Batman on the Harley Quinn show and such, and he's so funny. So it was funny.
Dietrich Bader.
Thank you. Yeah,
Dietrich Bader.
I much more enjoyed this horror comedy than Totally Killer that we saw last time.
Oh, it's way funnier. It's not even in the same ballpark.
Yeah, it's so much better.
It's streaming funny on Stars, or it's a $6 rental. It's absolutely worth it. There's not a lot of kills in it.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for that, you're not going to find it, but you are going to laugh the whole way through. If you're a horror fan, if you're not a horror fan, it's absolutely worth watching.
I think it would appease both, because again, the tropes are there and the fun it plays with all of it is there. But yeah, it's definitely going to be lacking in like kills and gore or anything like that. It's definitely doesn't have any like real scares. It really is a comedy.
But a really funny one. Yeah, a really
funny one. And I think we even said at the end of the night it was like kind of hard to choose. They're very different movies, obviously, because usually we were like, oh, who won the night kind of deal.
Yeah, I feel like it was a tie.
It was kind of a tie, because it was both were really good at what they were doing, and I don't know if you could really say one was much better than the other one.
I mean, it's a good sign if Tim and I are talking to the movie, just talking about how good the movie is, and we did that between both of them. You really did. It's like that.
Yeah, exactly. We really enjoyed both. Like, it was a very solid weekend, for sure. Like, yeah, even enjoying rewatching and revisiting the Friday 13th remake one. It was like, wow, okay, so there was not really a dud in that weekend.
No, except for like having to start late, and 3 movies in one night is hard.
It is difficult. I mean, luckily again, it's horror movies. Horror movies definitely make it better.
God bless their run times. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I guess it's funny because we both like to dabble in the 5-hour energies and such. To
I basically own stock
enhance our performance, right? But like here we are too, like it's not doing enough, and here we are we're like unwisely like smashing candy.
Oh yeah,
to get a little bit of a sugar
energy, whatever we can do to stay awake till like 2:00 in the morning. Like, man, I'm almost 40. I can't do this anymore. It's too late. I got to get up like at 6 a.m. every day. This is the worst.
Yeah, it's terrible. But you know what? I have a blast. It's still something I look forward to doing.
Hell yeah.
I have not at all. I don't even know. What are we? Are we still gonna try to partake on Friday, even though we're going out for your extravaganza the next day? Okay.
Yeah, we are.
Make sure.
Yeah, the tradition goes on.
Tradition lives. All right.
Got 2
Unless
more
you're
weeks.
at Vegas.
One time.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. But yeah, I've not made my pick at all. I'll have to find some new lists.
No worries. I haven't made a pick yet either. So.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. All right, so I guess that is it, and till next week when we'll tell you what we watched for the next week.
Yep.
That is it for us. Please show your support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Play Music, wherever you happen to listen to the show. Also, sharing is caring. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the latest show updates. You can contact us by emailing at filmbrochamp@gmail.com. or find us by searching for the hashtag FilmBroChamp. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Film Bro Championship Podcast. Peace out, everyone.
Bye-bye.